Chris just checked out.
Welcome to the Rotary eClub of Silicon Valley. My name is Mitty Chang. I am president of this club. Every week we bring to you a new program about education, innovation, technology, or humanitarian service. Thank you for joining us this week. This week we have a program by our Rotary District Governor, who I will introduce very shortly. But prior to that, let me go ahead and introduce a couple of our members on the call, very important people. In no particular order other than the one I see on my screen. Below me is Chris Cochran. Chris is our public relations chair for our club. He is also one of our resident Canadians based in Canada, where it's a lovely 75 degrees Fahrenheit right now. He's also a video producer who works professionally on different arrays of projects, and Chris is actually quite good, so if you ever have any video questions, please contact him. And next to Chris, we have Shags. Shags is our resident membership chair. He is also our resident Paella master. He's a money coach based in the San Francisco Bay Area, and he is also an excellent chef beyond just paella as well. So, and a wonderful person to have a food adventure with. There's Shags. Now, let me introduce to you our district governor for this Rotary year, Jeff Orth, who is from the Rotary Club of Gilroy. He joined that club in 1999 and has served as club president in 2005 to 2006. And that was during the centennial year of Rotary. Jeff is most proud of the formation of Jumpstart, a district-wide program providing at-risk youth with pajamas, sport bags, alarm clocks, and notebook computers for chartering the Gilroy Sunrise Club and for a comprehensive area club collaboration on local and international projects. Jeff is also a graduate of UC Davis, and I just want to put that out there because I am too. Yeah. And without further ado, I'd like to turn the floor over to Jeff. Jeff, please take it away from there.
All right. Well, thank you. This is a really new experience for me, so I'll try to do a good job for you. The theme for Rotary International this year is Rotary Serving Humanity. And I got to be honest with you, I really, really like that theme because that's what Rotary has been doing so very, very well since 1905. I also like last year's theme a lot, be a gift to the world, because when any of you have ever seen me do a new member induction, you'll know that all of us were given a great gift when we got to join Rotary. And it's a gift that all of us are unraveling over the years to come. Well, I think it's also equally important that a district governor has some kind of a central theme, something that they feel is like really, really important to them. In other words, what they want their year to be all about. And so I don't know about anybody else that's on the call here, but have any of you ever been at a meeting like where you were supposed to be paying attention, but your mind kind of drifted? Well, that happened to me, and I had to write something down before it leaked out of my brain. And this is what I wrote down. I wrote down, attract the young, have lots of fun, get more done, with fun at the center. And that's what I wrote. That's what I really want this year to be about. This is about attracting younger members, bringing vibrancy, new ideas to the clubs, and giving the older members a great and renewed sense of purpose because they can be there to help mentor and help guide these new younger Rotarians on their journey. It's a lot easier to walk through a minefield if you're following somebody who's already gone through it. I want to talk to you briefly about my journey in Rotary. And what I want to say is there's a difference between the day that you join Rotary and the day that you actually become a Rotarian. Some people, that journey is a very short one. They become a Rotarian very soon after they join. Some people never make that transition. But I want to tell you about my particular experience in becoming a Rotarian. Back in 1989, I joined Rotary, and I probably wasn't the kind of Rotarian that you would have thought would be the perfect model Rotarian. I mean, I love doing client services. I liked helping people. I liked community projects. I liked all that kind of stuff. But that's not why I joined Rotary. I joined Rotary because I was starting a fledgling financial planning business that I was getting off the ground. And I looked at the Rotary Club of Gilroy and said, all the leaders in the community are there, all the business leaders are there, all the shakers and movers of this community were there. And I looked at the Gilroy Chamber of Commerce as more or less a Chamber of Commerce. The Gilroy Rotary Club is more or less a Chamber of Commerce on steroids. And so that's why I joined. But something really interesting happened. I went to Salinas on a business trip. I was down there meeting with a client and who coincidentally was a Rotarian. And after we got done doing our business, he invited me to his Rotary Club for lunch. Now, I've only been a Rotarian for 6 months, so I didn't even know what I didn't know. And so I'm meeting people, I'm learning the protocols, I'm learning about a lot of things about Rotary. And one of the things that happened at this particular meeting is the Salinas Club had just come back from a cleft palate mission. That's where they're helping those children with the horribly deformed faces and doing these surgeries on them to give them a normal life. And I'm watching this video, and as I'm watching this video, I'm really moved emotionally. I mean, I'm thinking to myself, oh my gosh, as Rotarians, we get to do stuff like this? Are you kidding me? And so I was really, really moved. And then near the end of the video, they had an older man who came on. And just so you know, by definition, we're talking an older man is somebody who was probably about 50 to 55. But when you think about the fact that these surgeries are commonly done on small children, 50 is pretty old to do one of those cleft palate surgeries. And he said something through the interpreter that was so incredibly, incredibly powerful to me. What he said was, and I'm going to say it word for word because I remember it like I did 16 years ago. I want to thank Rotary for this wonderful gift. This was the first time in my life that I got to kiss my wife or anybody. Are you kidding me? Or anybody? And so I started getting really emotionally affected. I was starting to get weepy. I kind of started getting teary-eyed, and I thought, well, this is really embarrassing. I don't know anybody in this club. I'm a brand new Rotarian. No one wants to see a man cry, all this kind of stuff. I hope they don't turn the lights up right away. And almost immediately, the lights came up. And I looked across the room, I looked across the table, and pretty much the rest of us were all the same way. And ladies and gentlemen, that's when I became a Rotarian. And so what I'm saying to you is that there's a difference between simply joining Rotary and allowing it to actually pierce your heart. And you become more. You become so much more than what you were before. And I can tell you without reservation, I love being a Rotarian because I love the things that we get to do, and I love the leverage that we get to do it by. Like I said, as Rotarians, we get to do some pretty amazing things. And what I would say to you is that think about all the great things that your club is doing right now, any of the service projects you're doing, no matter where you are in the country or the world. And I want to ask yourself a question. Could we do more of the good that we're already doing if there were more of us to do it? And so I'm asking you to look for more people. And by the way, we're not looking for people exactly like us, because we're not looking for people that are carbon copies of Mitty or carbon copies of me or carbon copies of anybody else that's currently in Rotary. What we're looking for, we're trying to fill out a puzzle, a great puzzle. And so we're looking for people. And some people think, it's hard to find other people. I don't feel comfortable inviting people to join Rotary. And what I would say to you is this. All you have to do is be aware. Put your antenna up. Pay attention to your environment because you're surrounded by these people. These are people with servants' hearts, people that are already acting like Rotarians that would love to have the opportunity. Since the first of the year, I've personally led 4 people to Rotary. And my wife, who isn't even a Rotarian, has led 2. Because she was at the Rotary Wine Tent in Gilroy, saw 2 people having a great time helping to raise money at the Rotary Wine Tent, which is a great job because you're encouraged to drink on the job. And they were having a great time, and she says, She said, well, you have so much fun here. I said, oh, yeah, we've been doing this for years. We love working with Rotarians. We love hanging around Rotarians. We love doing what they're doing. And she says, well, why aren't you Rotarians? You know what the answer was? Nobody asked. Nobody asked us. And so Barbara, being a closer, she said, stand fast. I'll go get a Rotarian. And now they're joining the Gilroy Rotary Club. So a lot of times it's really easy. It's just being aware that wherever you go in the world, you're going to find these people if you're looking for them. There's a few things I would look for in a really strong club. One thing I look for is an outward facing and a strong brand. How strong is the brand of your club? There's so much good stuff on the Rotary website in terms of logos and everything, but brand goes so much deeper than simply a logo. It's an attitude. It's a club culture that's really important. Is your club outward facing? Do you have an active Facebook presence? Do you have a website that encourages, that has a great landing spot for newcomers and that leads you to places on your website? Is your website kept up constantly? I mean like weekly or like twice a week, not one and done. So having a strong brand is really important because for two reasons. It attracts outsiders to you, and number two, it reminds the people that are in your club what a great thing you have, because they're reminded about all the great things that you do, the great activities you have as Rotarians. So a strong brand. The next one is membership. If you're not busy growing, you're busy dying. There's no middle ground here. So if your club isn't growing in membership, I assure you it's in trouble and it just doesn't know it. So what I'm saying is the reason you want new members and the reason you want guys like your president, Mitty, is you want that youth, you want that vitality. You want those new ideas. And by the way, even Mitty has some good ideas, that kind of thing. But understand that you've got different kinds of people too. You've got people out there that are young members that'll work their fanny off you. They'll roll up their sleeves and they'll sweat for you. But if you ask them to write a check, you'll embarrass them. And if you embarrass somebody, then they're likely to leave you. And on the other hand, you've got people that at one time in their life were very happy to roll up their sleeves, or they're very good at writing big checks. But if you try to goad them into rolling up their sleeves and working on a project, you lose the person that writes the checks. And sometimes you get somebody oftentimes you'll get somebody that'll do both. But it's important to know when you're looking at members, everybody that you bring into your club has value. The important thing is figuring out what that value is. And the last thing that I think is most important in a club is a club needs to have purpose. What are they about? Because a club with purpose will always be a generous club. There'll be a club that gives. There'll be a club that is great at fundraising. They'll be doing a lot of service projects. They'll be partnering with other clubs to do service projects because that identifies a club that has purpose. So remember, strong brand, membership, and a club with purpose. And I'd like to kind of wrap things up by saying your club needs more Rotarians. The district needs more Rotarians. The United States of America needs more Rotarians because that way we can do more of the good that we're already doing. You see, ladies and gentlemen, there is so much bad information out there right now. I almost hate going on social media, but I do it daily many times because people will post most irresponsible things. They'll post things as facts that even at the time they either didn't know or knew were not true. But because they're passing it on, there are people that will take that information as if it's the gospel. And so there's some really hateful things that I've seen in social media. Protests in the world, it's like a national way of life in the United States since back to the Boston Tea Party. But sometimes protests that are legitimate spin out of control and property gets damaged and people get hurt. And sometimes people even get killed. Police officers murdered, terrorist attacks, innocent people being mowed down by a semi-pickup truck over in France, more recent terrorist attacks, and good people arguing over what's the problem, how to fix it, and who's to blame. And I'm talking good people like many people that are on this call right now. Sometimes it seems to me like the world is at war with itself. And then we have Rotary. How many, I can't ask the question here, but I often ask the question, you know, does anyone know who Fred Rogers is? And almost nobody knows who that is. Steve knows. But if I said Mr. Rogers, everybody raises their hand. Well, Mr. Rogers has a quote that I'm particularly fond of. When I was a boy and I would see scary things in the news, my mother would say to me, look for the helpers. You will always find people who are willing to help. And I like that because I think what Mr. Rogers was talking about, he's talking about people like police officers. He was talking about firefighters. But ladies and gentlemen, I think he was talking about us too. But unlike the firefighters, we don't wear a uniform necessarily and a badge. And unlike the police officers, we don't have their corresponding uniform unless we're wearing a Rotary logo. That identifies us as one of the helpers. And it seems to me, there was actually a time in Rotary, and there's maybe a few people on this conference that remember a time that if you belong to a Rotary club and you were caught out in public not wearing your Rotary pin, that you were fined at next week's meeting. Yeah, and you made me take off my jacket. But anyway, but I'm not suggesting that that's what should happen. I don't think that we should fine people for not wearing their Rotary pin. But it seems to me that if you have a passion for Rotary, if you have affinity for this wonderful organization that we belong to, why wouldn't you want to identify to the world that we are the helpers? We're the ones that make things happen. So, you know, consider displaying your Rotary pin with pride. As I see in many people on the call here, that you're wearing a shirt with a Rotary logo. I've normally got a Rotary logo wherever I go, because I want people to know that about me. I like to finish with a quote, and the quote goes like this: success is when you look back on your life and the memories of it make you smile. Success is when you look back on your life and the memories of it make you smile. I want to share something with you that's highly personal. When I was a young man growing up, I was deeply concerned that I would be born, I would work my whole life and die, and I wouldn't make one stitch of difference in this world. I came and I went. And I can tell you, because of Rotary and other things, but because of Rotary primarily, I haven't had that nightmare in a very, very long time. Because, ladies and gentlemen, we get to do some pretty amazing things as Rotarians. Now, we got some great stuff coming up. I don't know how many people on this call or this conference went to the International Convention in Seoul, Korea. I know I saw Mitty there. But I will tell you this, on the opening night, we had 3 speakers, any one of which could have been the keynote speaker all by themselves. We had the UN General Secretary who said, if it hadn't been for Rotary, there most likely would not have been a UN. Because coincidentally, about a dozen of the people who formed the UN were Rotarians. The Prime Minister of Sri Lanka said that they were so engulfed in a bloody, bloody, horrible civil war that when Rotary went in there to try to inoculate the children, they said, we can't guarantee your safety. You can inoculate here, you can inoculate there, but we can't guarantee your safety here. And Ravi Ravindan, our past president, said, if I can get a ceasefire, will you honor it? And Sri Lanka got a ceasefire for about 3 weeks, and we went in there and we inoculated the children. And then what the Prime Minister of Sri Lanka said next was really powerful. He said, because of Rotary, we discovered that we loved our children more than we feared each other. We loved our children more than we feared each other. And if that doesn't hit you right to the heart, I don't know what. And then the next thing that happened was we had the Prime Minister of Korea. And by the way, they don't consider themselves South Korea. I learned that. There's Korea, and then there's North Korea. There's no South Korea. But what he went on and on telling us was that he was so excited about the impact of Rotary on his country. And he wasn't talking about us going in there and doing service projects. He was talking the difference that Rotary was making in his country because so many of his leaders were becoming Rotarians and were leading like Rotarians. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we got a big event coming up that I think is really exciting, and you don't have to go all the way over to Seoul, Korea to get there. We got the International Convention in Atlanta, and it's going to be great because it's going to be the 100-year anniversary of the Rotary Foundation. Now, when I was the club president, well, before I was going to be the club president, I went to Barbara and I said, Barbara, my club selected me as the club president. She was so excited because she knew the club was going to send us to the International Convention. And she said, where are we going? Are we going to Australia? Are we going to Germany? Are we going to Japan? Where are we going? I said, brace yourself, honey. We're going to Chicago. And I got to tell you, she was kind of disappointed initially. But that was a great party because that was the 100-year anniversary of Rotary. Can you imagine what we're going to do at the 100-year anniversary of the Rotary Foundation? And so I'm really excited about this. There's already 22,000 people signed up for that convention. The rooms are going fast. My international convention chair is a gal named Sandra Young from the Niles Fremont Club. You need to get a hold of her because they're running out of rooms. If you want to get into there, you need to register fast. You need to get rooms. We're going to have a party here in Silicon Valley before we leave. We get over there, we're going to have another big party when we get there because Rotary is about being fun. And then we've got the district conference coming up, and I'm going to try to share the screen. Let's see if I can do it right. And that did not do what I thought it was going to do. Mitty, help me. What am I doing wrong?
The background, though.
You're sharing one of your screens. It may not be the right screen, but you could drag your video over to a screen if you'd like.
Okay, now I'm really messed up here. I'm sorry. Well, it's not even up now. Okay, let's forget about the video. It's too bad because it's a really funny video. But
so just make sure you end this share screen at the top.
We can always put a link to it.
Okay. Anyway, the International Convention, the district conference is going to be at the Santa Cruz Boardwalk. And we want it to be the most family-friendly, youth-friendly district conference we've ever had in the history of district conferences in our district. We're doing it in a very different way. Like on Saturday, we're not even having lunch indoors. We're having a beach party out on the beach with a live band. And if you're not interested in going out to a breakout session after the beach party, you have a coupon that you can use for unlimited rides at the boardwalk. Interactors, we're expecting upward of 1,000 interactors there. We're going to have volleyball courts ready. There's all kinds of, it's going to be just really, really exciting. We're going to have a great time there. And we don't even have a sponsor hotel. What we did instead is because we're holding at the Coconut Grove at the Santa Cruz Boardwalk, we've talked to all the local hotels, bargained for the lowest rates they possibly have, and now you choose whatever place you want to stay if you need to stay overnight. So it's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be a great district conference. Hopefully, Mitty can get the link up on your website so you can see the video. It's pretty funny. When you see the video, you're going to know maybe have a sense of humor, maybe. But I want to close by saying the last thing is that, again, I want to focus on what this year is going to be all about. Many years from now, if somebody were to say, you remember that year that Jeff Orth was the district governor? That was a really fun year to be a Rotarian. And if I heard that many years from now, that would be the best compliment I could get, because this year is all about attracting the young, have lots of fun, and get more done with fun at the center. Thank you.
I would stand up, but I'm not in the position to do so. That was amazing. Thank you so much, Governor Jeff. Thank you.
That's got to be, I've been in Rotary 33 years. That's got to be one of the best, 5 years, one of the best governor's talks I've ever heard.
Yeah, it was simple, to the point,
Oh, thank you.
Easily understood. The
Really?
basics of all communication.
No, honestly, all I wanted to do, I didn't want it to be speechy. I wanted it to be just like a conversation I'm having with friends.
Yeah, you made some good points, and it came through.
Thank you. I appreciate the comments.
Really good.
Now we have some questions and answers. Now,
Yeah.
I'm going to define a good question to you. A good question is one that I can actually answer.
Not so much a question, just a comment. You talked about how Rotarians can, just on their own, make a connection and do something that when you were talking about the UN forming, and we had in my old club in Ohio, in Girard Liberty, a fellow who ended up, his son was a cardiologist, he ended up meeting Mother Teresa and got a C-130 to fly supplies into India when U.S. military has never been able to fly over Indian airspace, all because of Rotary.
Yeah.
So
Well, that's why I think, that's why when I was talking about all the hate in the world and being at war, honestly, I figure there's any hope for lasting peace, it's good because it's not going to be just Rotary, but it's because of organizations like Rotary, because we seem to get past the self-interests that are incumbent on individual governments. And so I think if there's hope for the world, it's going to be because of organizations like Rotary.
absolutely.
Absolutely, yes.
Yeah.
Now, Mitty, are you aware that the UN will provide a speaker on any topic to any Rotary Club in the world free of charge?
I was not.
I didn't know that.
There's a link on the Rotary International website, at least it used to be, I can find it again at some point, where any club in the world can request a speaker, and the UN will send out a speaker out qualified in the area that you wish them to speak on, to come to your club physically, or in our case, go online and do a program.
Good to know. Chris, sounds like you're volunteering to find us a speaker from the UN. Good for you.
Governor, I really enjoyed the message, and especially about the young. I joined Rotary at 28 at the behest of my father, who had been in Rotary 40-some years when he died with perfect attendance. I'm on 34 years. I have an uncle who was a charter member in 1915, working on 50 when he died. And we were all young when we came in. This club has done a wonderful job, and kudos to Mitty, because he's reaching out to so many Rotaractors saying, are you looking for a home after Rotary? Check us out. We're really good. And you sent us someone young. What's our average age, Mitty? In the 30s? Just slightly. We're got to be between 30 and...
Yeah, we got to be 30-something, yeah.
30 to 45, mid-range. I'm 60, so I skew it a bit.
Yeah.
You're one of the youngsters. You're only 60? Huh.
Yeah, but I'm a young 60.
Well, it's interesting because when I first started doing this talk, I actually had somebody who came to me and he was actually feeling a little threatened about this attract the young. And he said, well, what about us older guys? Don't we matter? And I said, yeah, you matter a lot. You matter a whole lot, because I'm hoping that you're going to mentor these younger people, that you have life experience. So whether you're still working or whether you're retiring, you have experiences that are of value to other people. And you can either hoard those to yourself, or you can give yourself a renewed sense of purpose by pouring yourself into the life of somebody else. And I even talk about things like you could even crack the door from. You have a network of people, and you could crack the door to help them. And they said, well, then wouldn't they be using me? And I said, no. Isn't that what friends do for friends? We help each other. And so in Rotary, we establish a relationship. And why wouldn't I want to help a fellow Rotarian? I mean, honestly, you would love it if you saw me do a new member induction. And the reason I learned to do a new member induction well is because I got sick and tired of seeing them done badly. And so when I do a new member induction, the new member understands something really, really important about what they have, and the club understands something really, really important what they just got. And I give marching orders to the new Rotarian. And so maybe that we could do that at a later program, how to induct a new member. But
yeah, we'll definitely we'll take you up on that offer, Jeff. I was wondering, for those of our members who are a little bit newer to Rotary, as well as some of our guests, if you could actually briefly talk a little bit more about what you actually do as district governor, and also some of what happened prior to you starting your year as district governor in terms of how long in advance were you selected, and then also what kind of training took place, like as a brief overview.
Well, yeah, that's a really good question, because I can answer it. But anyway, the district governor is not something that you should throw your name into hat lightly. I think it's something that it's really important. We've had great people before me in this district go on to be district governor. There's a process you go through. Once you've been a club president, you qualify for the possibility of being a district governor. One of the things they look for is your district involvement. They're going to want to see that you've got a lot of different experiences at the district level, whether they're on the command side or the support side of the district. The other thing that you do is there's a nominating committee that meets about 3.5 years before you would become a district governor, and they select the person. And then that person goes to what's called GNATS, which is Governor Nominee Elect Training. That's held somewhere, usually somewhere in the Western United States or Canada. And then a year later, you go to what's called GETS, which is Governor Elect's Training. And both of these are really good. And every time that you go to these, you're trying to do something, a number of new things to help sharpen your skills so that you'll be ready to be the district governor for your district. And then the last thing, and it's a really big one, is the International Assembly. Matter of fact, I got to hear Mitty speak. Mitty is so highly thought of in the Rotary world that he gets to speak in like Australia, and even more importantly at the International Assembly, where they're training all the district governors from throughout the entire Rotary world. And that's amazing because it's like a UN experience in a Rotary wrapper. I got to meet the district governor for Israel and talk to him about what life is like in Israel right now. How does it feel being next to countries that hate you and want to kill you? You know, that kind of thing. These deep relationships, I made these lifelong friends with people from Israel, Japan, Germany, England, you name it. And so it's a wonderful, wonderful experience. And then you eventually get on to where you're actually going to be the district governor. But the neat thing is they give you plenty of time to prepare. It's not like you're selected and 6 months later you're the district governor. You got almost 3 years before you actually become the district governor. And so there's a lot of preparation that goes into it. A year and a half before I became district governor, I was working really hard to select my team. And I made a lot of appointments, as I said earlier, with the idea of having the very best people available in the district to help support Mitty and your club. And so that's pretty much it. And then district governor, I'll tell you, the part of the job that I really, really like, I enjoy the most, is the leadership meetings and the club visits. We haven't really had a leadership meeting with your club yet, but and the club visit, I'll be honest with you, it's a little odd for me because I'm really interactive. I like to talk to people. I like to play with the audience, and it's a little bit different. This is a different environment for me. But one of the things I like about being a district governor is I honestly believe I'm going to emerge a better person on the other side, because I get to meet all the clubs and talk with them intimately, and I get a much more clear version or other people's versions of what Rotary is all about, which makes mine even better. And so I'm really excited about being the district governor. And I've been talking so long right now, I'm not sure I even remember what the question was, but but that's what it is. I think it's a great job, and I think it's something I could see Mitty in that position someday.
Someday.
You ought to see. Well, you saw Mitty's face just now, but the
yeah, that's because of what I posted, Governor. Well, I've been president of a couple of Terra clubs, and I've had the wonderful privilege of posting in the men's room a sign on the hot air dryer saying, "For a preview of the governor's speech, press this button."
Very good.
Thank you so much, Jeff, for sharing all of that.
Great.
We really appreciate it. And we appreciate you taking the time to give us a program. In terms of being interactive with our club members, we'll probably invite you to one of our online happy hours where we each have a drink in our hands and we are in front of our webcams drinking. Well, and so it looks like everyone has a drink in their hand right now anyway, but we'll definitely invite you back for one of our more casual meetings. And
one thing I would like to say, if I could,
yes,
is you might want to make a connection. You may not be all aware of this yet, but we just chartered the newest club in District 5170, the Passport Club. They're starting out with 27 new members, and they're a different club too. They're, like you, they're different than a normal Rotary club, a traditional Rotary club, in that these are people that all they have is really a real heart for service. They just want to do things. They're not interested in going to a lunch meeting every week, that kind of thing. And you might want to make a connection. The eClub might want to make a connection with the Passport Club, because these are people that are eager to get involved. And so if you decide that as an eClub you're going to do some kind of a project locally and you're a little short on manpower because you got some of your members are like in Canada, because you do projects, right?
Yep, that is true.
Please tell me you do projects. Well, these are projects. These are people that could help you with those things, and so you might want to make that connection.
And they can help us as well, because as members of eClub, we need other avenues of service, or avenues to do service, not avenues of service. So when we hear about things from them, we can join in. Some of the ones we have, I'm not always available, or I'm feeling too much pain for.
And by the way, I'm just really very excited about your club. I'll just finish with that. Say I'm very, very excited about your club because honestly, when I first heard about the eClub concept, I was not a fan. I was not in favor of it, mostly because I didn't understand. To me, a social intercourse is all about being there in front of a person and talking to them and being able to touch their shoulder and giving them a hug on the neck, that sort of thing. And one of the things I've learned, one of the things I've learned is that this whole environment done well, and this is done well, can be highly relational. So it's the opposite. It's the antithesis of what I actually thought. So I'm not right all the time, but I'm willing to admit when I'm wrong, and I definitely was wrong about this. I'm really glad that I was wrong about this. So thank you for having me here today, and I'm done.
Thank you for taking your time to speak to us, Governor Jeff. Really appreciate that. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in to our program this week. We hope you enjoyed the meeting. Right below this video will be a link to both the District Rotary website as well as that YouTube video link for the district conference trailer promotion that Jeff will send us. So since we missed that, go ahead and check out that link. Get excited for our district conference coming up next year in spring. And I'm sure that we'll be inviting Jeff back to respond to some comments. So please leave a comment at the bottom of this page and just kind of talk to us about any questions you might have, or tell us about your Rotary moment, or why you're visiting today. Thank you so much for joining us, and we hope to see you next week. Bye, everyone.
Bye.